10 individuals that signed up for it. You had 2 brave ones that came forward. And that's just the way it is. Remember what I said. It's those that show up that matter. The rest are irrelevant. You know, what I saw in the last debate and what I saw in the 2 previous debates was that everybody had a good sense of civil discord. We all talked to me. Everybody had their own opinions, which was beautiful, and everybody, mentioned them, said them freely. And you know what I hate when campaigns start? Is people start insulting family members. They start insulting wives, brothers, sisters, so on and so forth. And it gets too personal, I guess, is what I put it that way. And so what happens with that is that you basically need to kind of control that. It's not against the family, it's not against whoever's supporting. It's not, it's against the individual that's in front of you and see what opinions vary. And that's what happens. We already have some insults happening, and I believe by the end of this campaign, you're going to have a couple of candidates who are going to get Chris Rock in that night. You know, we're going to point that word, and we're going to get Chris Rock with enough of insults. You know, family's family, kids are kids, we all have our mistakes. We all live in the same community. And you can't hide in Laredo. You can say whatever you want on Facebook, but you can run information. Anyway. We're going to take off of this. I want to introduce you 2 great men that are up here. And I'm going to give both of you a 1-minute opening. You guys decide which one wants to
go. Good evening. My name is Gustavo Gonzalez. Everybody knows me as Gunny Gonzalez. I am a Marine Gunnery Sergeant still in service. Just been enlisted for another 4 years. And I've been in business for 7 years. I went to school camp. Prior to that, I was a worker patrol agent for 5 years. The reason why I'm doing this, I'll be honest with you, I'm not a politician. I'm just somebody who is just a resident of Laredo, just like yourselves. And I just started getting tired of all the stuff that was going on in the community. You know, I think Paul, said in the beginning, the word corrupted has been going out there for a long time already, whether it is or not. I'm ready for the right reason, and that reason is just to obviously demonstrate some leadership, and that's the reason why I'm here tonight, just to show my presence. And of course, the other reason I'm here is because I want to be able to provide transparency, and of course, do the right thing for the community. Thank you.
Thank you.
First of all, I want to thank everybody for showing up tonight. Thank you to Paul and Judge for putting this together, and thank you for staying here throughout the long haul. And of course, Gunny, for showing up, for your service for our country, and for being part of the process, and having the accountability to be part of the process long term. When you have 10 people that are running for office, it says something. It says something that people are frustrated. And like it was in the news story tonight, people are frustrated. They're tired of being lied to. They're tired of the empty promises. Accountability and integrity are 2 things that are missing from City Hall, and it's become a cancer that's gone through the entire city. As your next mayor, I will be accountable, and I will bring stability and integrity to the office of the city council, mayor of the city of Laredo, because that is where it all stops. For 8 years, we've heard excuses. We've heard reasons to why things aren't working right. The mayor is the mayor of the city of Laredo. We are where the buck stops. As your mayor, I will be accountable when something happens under my watch. And I want to talk about the 1.6 billion very quickly. What people don't understand about the mayor's office is you're the chairman of the NPO. That $1.6 billion goes to the NPO, and you'd be surprised how quickly $1.6 billion can be lost in status.
Thank you. As we know, if you do anything in the last minute, which takes more than a minute to prepare, you're not organized properly. We have candidates that have joined the race, as well as other races, which never planned. This unsuccessful planning will echo in the performance of the duty. Being ill-prepared will cause damage, and damage we have seen with this administration. Number one, this question starts with you, Mr. Vela. What do you hope to accomplish as mayor of Laredo?
That's a great question, and I think that's what everybody is really wondering is for 8 years, we had people that have been running for office, giving us empty promises. As a mayor, the first thing we need to do is create a sense of stability, bring accountability and integrity to the office of the city of Laredo, the mayor of the city of Laredo, so that we can inspire the other people, the people that work for the city of Laredo. The atmosphere within City Hall and the city departments is an all-time low. And it's at an all-time low because of the standard, the work ethic that we've had within our city council. As the next mayor, we're going to work hard. When I ran 10 years ago for city council, we promised a few things. We promised to accept our name. We promised to be fiscally responsible, and we didn't invest in public safety. And we did those things. District 5 didn't have an ambulance. An entire district, one of the largest districts by landmass in the city of Laredo, had no ambulance. We brought an ambulance, we expanded the department, and we invested in public safety.
Thank you. Mr. President.
I'd like to see change more than anything, more transparency. What I have to offer is just leadership, strategies. That's what I believe in, that's what I think in. That's what I've been thinking for this whole time that I've been running. What inspired me a while back, several years ago, was Jesse Gonzalez when I used to start posting poster talks, giving back to the community, helping out. And again, it's just open transparency. I think everybody's tired of doing the same thing and empty promises. I want to deliver empty promises. I actually want to, go to work, do something. That's what I want to do. That's what I want to offer to Laredo.
Next question here comes, most of the before that. As we know, this previous administration under this leadership has been quite a ride. We've had 5 city managers in a year. We had countless city attorneys. We have lost the form of a city council meeting to the point that activists have overruled and gotten the city into trouble with some lawsuits one after the other. So-called watchdog groups have imposed their own deals and how to run the city of Laredo. We even had a city attorney when she stated that the meeting had to stop because everybody was in the back texting and eating. And the meeting has to have everybody present for it to be a So with this question is, how are you as mayor going to bring back the form, bring back the order to a council as it should be?
I think we just need to, like Mr. Vela says, hold them accountable. Start setting up SOPs. That's it. It's not that complicated. All we have to do is just act on it, decide, and take action. I don't see what the problem is. It's just people did what they were supposed to do. That's it.
It's really about understanding our charter, understanding the Robert's rules, understanding how to be able to run a meeting. For this last administration, really never took the time to be able to understand how a city council meeting is supposed to be run, what the rules were within our city charter, what we had to do. And it's nothing against the majority of our city council members right now, but the fact is they don't know what the stable city government looks like. Nobody showed them. Nobody has set that example as to how things work, how you're supposed to show up on a basis, make sure your projects are getting done, how you're supposed to behave during the city council meeting. As the next mayor, we're going to lead by example. We're going to make sure that everybody understands our city charter. Everybody understands how the meeting is supposed to work. And hold it accountable as the chairman of the city council, making sure that the rules are being followed. Rules haven't been followed because they just don't understand the rules. They never took the time to understand it. And that's not their fault. Yeah. It's just this environment that they learned on and how to pick up bad habits.
Okay. Next question. So how are you as mayor going to bring back small business friendly atmosphere to Laredo? Since in the past 2 years, the city has aided in many city small businesses to be disseminated from Laredo.
Well, We'll start by having dependable water coming through our water faucets every day. It's hard to be able to have a business when you're closed for 10 days. 2/3 of the city is closed for 10 days. When you're trying to attract major businesses and investment, they're looking for a government that they can count on. They're looking for the basic necessities that a city is supposed to be able to provide. That's water, pick up trash, public safety, and we can't count on that anymore. On top of that, 4 years ago, we talked about a couple of things, several things. But one of the things that we talked about freezing our appraisals, and that would have paid huge dividends 4 years later, and freezing our water rates. Both have become huge issues 4 years later. So what we need to do now, because our raises have just blown up, we need to decrease our property tax by 2 cents. For every cent that is collected by our property tax, we bring about $1.5 million that's collected. At 2 cents, that's a $3 million hit to our budget. $3 million is a lot of money. So when we have an $840 million budget, we can absolutely back into that. We can do that immediately. In one of our first council meetings is propose, adopt an adjustment to our current budget, and if you have paid your taxes, you will get your refund check.
Thank you. So how are you as mayor going to bring back a small business friendly atmosphere to Laredo? So in the past 2 years, the city did an excellent job in disseminating all this.
I think we need to actually just get together and start looking at where we're at, and then start coming up with a strategic plan to eventually get to where we need to get to. I can tell you as a business owner, when we shut down, we suffered for 2 months, but we adapted. And because we adapted, we're able to push forward. So like I've always said, being in the service, when you're adaptable, you're gonna be able to overcome anything. And it's just, again, going back to planning. I would say right now, Mr. Vela and anybody else who's been in politics has probably more experience than this. I'm here as a first timer stepping up to this, and I'm learning and I'm adapting as I'm going through the motions. So just like anybody, when they say, hey, well, what makes you qualified to run for city mayor? Same thing that I tell anybody else. You're going to be joining law enforcement, you have to go to the academy to be able to learn law and get better at it. Same thing with a doctor. And I got to be able to perform 1,000 surgeries without practicing first. So I just need to get that time and that opportunity to excel. Thank you.
It is very, very obvious that this administration's main concern since the beginning was Laredo. In the early part of this mayor's tenure, he wanted to build a wall in Laredo around the marketplace. We're going to cost somewhere between $10 to $12 million. At the same time, he was against Trump wall. He wanted to place it over there, but here not. So, what ideas do you have to bring forth the type of tourism for Laredo? And is it that your main goal?
I would say we need to actually start looking at other cities outside of Laredo, McAllen, San Antonio, because obviously what happens here typically with people who are in Laredo, they're like, hey, I want to leave. Well, what was there to do here in the city? Nothing. People take out of town. I think we need to start attracting new businesses. We need to start focusing on what other cities are doing to be able to bring, thriving, businesses down here to Laredo to attract them, to make them successful, and just to support them, because they need the support. That's what I think needs to happen.
The reality is, the one reason when we were a tourist destination, it was because Mexico was safe. And the only way to be able to do that again is to work with our counterparts in Mexico at the city level and the federal level to ensure that Mexico is safe again. If we can guarantee the safety of American citizens in Mexico, we will have people start to visit us again. That's the only real reason why someone other than work is going to come out of business. We used to have a bowling tournament every January. We have 4 shifts, 4 teams, 4 in the morning, 4 in the afternoon. As soon as things in Mexico turn, we're lucky to get 20. They're just not going, we don't have a beach. We go to the water park, people are going to come from San Antonio to come to the water park, to the Laredos. People from the Valley are going to come to they have the beach. We have to give them something that nobody else has. in our case, it's Mexicans, knowing that to be able to work with them, ensure that everything is safe there and that people are investing in there and giving them the things that they need, we can become a tourist destination. That's our right. That's the one thing that we need to focus when it comes to tourism. And of course, other conventions and things that we need to do to give people reason to know.
The next question is yours. Never have seen this in the past 20 years being here. We have entrepreneurs, businessmen, all types of everything. And there's groups of small business owners around Laredo that need to see what's going to happen. They don't want to get the full contract they were in 2020. And many of them are saying the similar thing. If so-and-so gets elected in this district, I'm not going to open up my restaurant in the south. I'm not going to open up my restaurant in the north. I'm not going to open up my theater. In fact, I'm going to allow my lease to expire on the new center. People are afraid of certain elements and certain people that are worse. So how are you, as mayor, going to balance those extreme ideologies that face us, especially with some of these candidates, if they are, and maintain that order?
I mean, it is what it is. If they want to be here, they can leave. It's that simple. You know? I love Laredo. That's why I'm here. I'm in the service in the Marine Corps for 20 years, serving. I love my country. I'm going to continue to serve. So, it's that simple. They can walk out.
Well, we'll certainly take a different approach. We need to, everything goes down back to accountability and integrity. Doing the right thing. And I say this often, doing the right thing sometimes isn't necessarily in your best interest, but it's still the right thing to do. You make sure it gets done. You hold everybody accountable at every single department, whether it's utilities, building department, planning departments, code enforcement, whatever it may be. And you're dealing with thousands of employees in multiple departments. And how you begin to do that is how you conduct your own business, how you handle yourself behind closed doors while you're going to work every single day during city council meeting, setting that policy forward and making sure that's being followed. And then you can begin to ask that and inspire that and encourage the other citizens and employees within the city department, so that we make sure that it's a level playing field. That one business isn't being held to a different standard than another. And then you can begin to people with business owners within the community feel like that's not the norm anymore. What we need to do is our norm needs to be fairness. Our norm needs to be a level playing field as opposed to what it's been over the past handful of years.
Thank you. Safety is the number one concern of many here in the city. It is the opinion of many that this administration has shown the lack of interest towards our personal safety and the safety of Americans in general. We understand discrimination, but we also understand safety is our number one concern. We entered lawsuits against the wall, but yet our crime rate has gone up. We have young men and women that are being led astray into the underworld and have become mules, and become coyotes, because they're influenced by money, by the underworld, things like that. That crime wasn't here before. We don't see it as staggering the numbers as it is now. We spoke to several border patrol, and they had a bag. They showed up and they said, this bag right here, for 50 million drugs, continental. He goes, this bag right here, we have these 2 pounds, can kill the population of Texas. That's coming to here. We need to secure your safety. Are you willing to talk to Governor Abbott to bring back a type of security that has breached our nation's security and our safety and secure our borders? Because our children are not working.
Good question, and the answer is yes. And it's not so much Governor Abbott, and there is obviously working with our state representatives and other state representatives. It's really more federal issue. And every time we go to Washington, D.C., one of the visits we have is with Border Patrol. There's 2 things. The border wall is a little antiquated, right? Because stuff that bad investment. But with work, and would also be an economic driver, is hiring more work employees. Would have more boots on the ground in our border patrol and create jobs at the same time as well. And there's this idea of also creating a virtual wall where we have drones and we have cameras and we're making sure that we're policing our border and as best as possible, and at the same time creating those jobs with border patrol. So that's really what we need to work on, and absolutely that's something that we've always done as a council member. We did it. We made sure that there was more border patrol agents hired, and we also went after any kind of grants. Cops grants, where they would give us money to be able to hire more police officers, and we hired as many as 50 with their salaries being paid for the first 5 years.
Same thing, I mean, being a border patrol for 5 years, being on the ground there for 5 years, I know firsthand what it is and what it takes. I know there's probably some agents out here that they know what you know, how it feels and what the requirements are, and so I'm also for taking care of, you know, border and deterring drugs. It is, I mean, again, I'm for it, you know, there's no argument about that.
Okay, next question. We have an excellent first responders, probably the best there is. But at the same time, both fire department and police department take anywhere between 60 to 70% of the general budget. At this point in time, the United States, we're entering a recession. Some people say it's going to finish in March. Some people say it's going to be 2 years. Some people are even saying it's going to be longer than the Great Depression. With that being said, we have plenty of CEOs that are renegotiating their contracts with their employees. Would you entertain that idea to renegotiate a contract with these two departments and bring down for the safety for Laredo not to fall into dire?
I think it'd be something that we have to look at for firsthand and just, again, decide from there and see what's going to be the appropriate measure and take action. I know we feel it. You know, we're both in business, and I know we've gone through hard times, and again, we're adjusting, and, you know, I thank God I have a very supportive wife. You know, most of my staff's here as well support me, and, you know, again, we're working towards that. Just like everybody else is struggling, we're trying to survive, trying to push forward.
The contracts for both fire and police are negotiated every 4 years, and yeah, public safety costs about $130 million to the city, collecting $80 million in property tax. So that's why there's such a big disparity between them. At times we become difficult, as some experts believe. The last thing we need to do is start cutting back on public safety. We need to ensure that safety is a priority. And when it is time to be able to negotiate those contracts, then absolutely, we need to be able to take care of them as much as we can without it burdening taxpayers. And I say this all the time, you can't really put a price on what firefighters and police officers do until you have to come up with that price. And that's the job of the city manager and the city council as a whole, right? To ensure that we are making sure that we're giving them what they need to be successful and provide and do their job as best as they can. But at the same time, not overly putting the burden on the people of Laredo. Our general fund as a whole is about $190 million. So, yeah, 130 of it is public safety, but there's the grand scheme of things, there's so many different ways to do it. Because I think COVID, with businesses being shut down, really gave us all an opportunity to look at it next year with a new pair of eyes and how to be able to cut a lot of that fat.
Now, both of you have 1 minute to close. Mr. Bellin,
first, thank you again for everybody for showing up and staying throughout our presentation. This is an important time in the city of Laredo. Things are uncertain in our city, and we need to ensure that we vote and put somebody into office that understands city government, understands the problems, and not just gives you empty promises. Doesn't tell you the things that you want to hear with no real idea about whatever it is he or she is promising. I ask that you look and you pay attention to the things that are being said, the ideas of how to be able to accomplish them, and more importantly, who's showing up. To be able to throw your name in the hat and not show up to debates and not present your arguments to people says a lot. Says a lot about that person and what we can expect over the next 4 years. As a council member, I worked very hard. Was there all the time, every single day, making sure that our projects were being pushed through, making sure that the goals, the things that we promised you, those promises were met. As the next mayor, I will do exactly that. I'm just going to have to look the entire city to be able to push forward and finally make it the city that we all want to be happy.
Hey, thank you for the opportunity. Like I said, I'm evolving, I'm learning, I'm picking up from my peers and whatnot. This is new for me. I think the biggest argument for me is like, what makes you qualified? I'm no better than anybody else, other than just being, obviously experienced. I don't have that experience, but just like anybody else, I'm looking to learn. I'm waiting to put in the work, and I'm waiting to get it done. So I'm not going to do this on empty promises. I am going to try and figure out what is the best direction for us to take as a city, and that's it. Thank you. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thank you both for putting on your name in the hat, and also thank you both for standing up. Once more, thank you. Folks, thank you all. After this, there's going to be a get-together over at Rochester's Cafe. If you guys want to go over there and have some great drinks that you guys already go talk and meet some of the folks that are running. So that's number one. I wish you go there inside. Now, on another note, you all stay safe, be safe, and remember, grab somebody else to vote, because everybody here that I see carries votes. And bring your friends, bring your neighbor. My son's just going to turn 18. His car's going to go inside, so first time to vote, so that's the first time. So that's the way to start teaching the young ones to be part of the process. And remember, the next time, much peace.